Hey guys, hope you're doing good. In this video, we are going to learn about generator. Now, what is generator? The generator are a special class of function that simplifies the task of writing iterators. Now, usually in regular functions, like we will be returning a value from a function, right? But generators returns an iterator that returns a stream of values. Now, whenever I have a function and I use a keyword yield in that function, that function is considered to be a generator, right? Let us see those things with some example. Now let me write a program with a normal function and let me give you the difference between a generator and a function, right? Now here in this function, in this program, I have a list of values from 1 to 10 and I'm calling a function called as get even, and I'm passing the list of values. Now what I'm going to do from here in this function is that I'm going to find all the even numbers, put it in a list and return it back. Now let us see what's happening here. I'm creating an empty list first, and then I'm using a for loop to iterate through the list of values, and then I'm checking every value whether that value is a even number. If that value is an even number, I'm just appending that even number to my list and returning back the list to my function call. Now here list becomes a list which is getting stored with all the even numbers. Let me run this code for you. Oops, I made a mistake here. Okay, let me run it again. Got it? So we got all the even numbers here in our program, right? So all the even numbers are returned back from the function. Now here, if I say I want to use a generator instead of a function, a normal function. So for that, like this is not required for me. I'll just remove this. That's not required for me. And I'm not going to return anything from here. And since the list is not there, I'm not going to append as well. Now what is it I'm going to do? I'm going to use the keyword yield and then say I. Now what this will do, every time a function call happens from here, it goes here and yields the value and pass it as it is, right? It doesn't run the program or it doesn't do anything. It just passes it as it is and then returns back the generator object, right? Let me say gen obj, right? Let me try to print this. First, before that, let me clear the screen for you. So when I run this code, so you will be getting a generator object and not any value. It doesn't print any value. To get the value or to print the values which is generated, right, from the function, right, from the generator here, now what should I do? Right, let me just pull this up for you. I'll be using a method called this next. I'll say next of gen obj. So when I say next of gen obj, now as I said already, like the entire list is passed to the generator. Now this is not a function. You should not call this as a function. Whenever the yield keyword comes inside any function, you may need to call that as generator. Right. Now here, this my list is passed to the generator, and lst is holding the entire list of values. Now here it first takes the first value from the list and checks whether it is a even or odd. One is odd number, so it just go back to the list again, right? Go back to the loop again and iterates to the second value 2. 2 is a even number, condition true, and I yield the 2 value and stop it there, pass it there and returns the generator object. Now when I say next dot gen obj, it goes to the what generator here, takes the value and prints it. Now you can see it will print 2, right? That's all. It passes there. It takes the value and passes. Every time it takes the value and passes it, right? So let me do it again and again. Let me do it 3 times for you, right? Or 4 times for you, right? So let me clear the screen and then do it. So you get 2, 4, 6 and 8. Now if I want to do it one more time, yes, I can do it, right? I'll just do it again. So it gets 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. Now one more thing, right? If I do it one more, like 10 is the last value that I don't have anything above 10, right? 10 is the last integer even number, right? So when I copy this and paste it again, right, and then run this code for you, now you're getting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and then an error. Now you're getting an error called the stop iteration, right? Because what's happening here, I'll explain you, right? So every time it goes here, takes the value, comes back, right? What's happening here is that it takes the value one by one, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. After that, there is nothing to iterate. The entire iteration got stopped. And when you say next, it will throw you error. If I say next, it's going to throw you error. Okay. Now this people tend to do this kind of mistakes, right? Many times we do this kind of mistakes, right? We tend to make mistakes next, and then we do it, right? So to avoid this, we can use a for loop to iterate through the generator object. I'll say for I in gen obj, and then I say print I. So when I do this, it will not go beyond anymore, right? Because it knows where to stop, right? It's not going to go beyond, right? Let me run this code for you. So it gives you 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Now you can see that it is not going beyond the iteration, right? So it's better always to use a loop rather than using next function to take the next values, right? Hope you got it, guys. Okay, now let me give you one more thing, right? You just want to know, many people will wonder like whether it is like many people ask me when I'm doing some trainings, right, whether the yield is returning the entire values. No, yield is not returning the entire value. Let me clarify you by putting a print statement here. I'll say print I am here, right? So if it is doing at once, right, it's returning all the values at once. This I'm here what statement will be printed only once. But let me tell you what's happening, right? Let me run this code again for you. When I run this code, you can see every time it goes to the generator, fetches the value and come back, right? You can see I'm here every time. So as I said already, so this, when I say yield, it passes the work, comes back here, provides the generator object, and that's the work. Stop it there, pass it there. Like after passing, it expects you to give a next. So unless and until you give a next, or unless and until you iterate through the for loop, it will never go to the generator and take the value, right? So once it hits the value, once the condition is true, once it hits yield, the generator will pass the work there. Unless and until you go and say next, or unless and until you go and say use a loop to iterate through it, it will never go inside and take the value. Got it, guys? Okay, so let me give you one more example with like the same thing. Many people ask me like why if like why should I use, like you may think like why should I use a for loop to do this? I can use a list comprehension. Yes, you can use a list comprehension. Let me take this out, and then let me give you an example with list comprehension. I'll say even list sign. I'll say I say for I in my list. We'll say if I mod 2 equal to 0, right? So when I do this, like it does the work and then takes the value and puts it here, right? So if at all you don't know what is comprehension, please go and watch the video that which I've done on list comprehension, so that you will get a better understanding of it. I've given the link in the description as well. So I'll say print even list, and let me run this code for you. So you get 2, 4, 6, 9, 10, 10. Now how to do it with generator? Like this is list comprehension. If I want to do the same thing with generator, it's very simple. Put a parenthesis here. So remove the brackets and put a parenthesis. Now this becomes generator. Right. So let me run this code. You're getting generator object. You will not get the value, you'll just get the generator object. So what should I do for that? I may need to use a for loop, right? I may need to use a for loop for I in even list, and then I say print I. Okay, so when I run this, you're getting the values. Now this is how you do with the help of generator. Now what would be the major difference between using a list generator and a a normal function, right? So when I use a normal function, it returns the entire object as it is, right? So when I return the entire object as it is, it takes a time as well, extra time, and the extra memory space as well, right? So like both are very dangerous, right? Taking much of memory space, taking much of time is also like it's not advisable. So let me give you one more example. Like these are small values, so you'll not get the big difference. Let me give you one more example where it takes a huge amount of value, so that you can find the time difference and the memory space which is allocated for a generator and the normal function, right? So let me give you that example. Okay, now here I have a program where, like, just forget about all these things, right? Don't take into don't take into your mind, right? Or what are the things, right? Just forget about it. I have a program where I'm going to pass on some a very bigger value, like, so almost at 1 million value, that I'm going to pass it to my function, do the process, and return back the list of values, right? So when I do this, like, let us see how much memory it is taking. I'll just tell you which is important for us alone, right? So I have some two list of values, names and departments, right? As Samuel, Edison, Jordan, and Blesson, and departments HR, IT, finance, and admin, right? And this line, which is going to provide us the memory size before starting our work, and here I'm going to give you the memory space after completing our work, right? So now let's see what's happening here, right? I'm just using a method called as emp list, and I'm passing 10 million or 1 million value, right? So my number is 1 million, right? So I'm creating a empty list here, and I'm using a for loop to iterate through the number of range, right? 1 million values, and I'm repeatedly taking the value, right? Creating a list of values here, right? I'm repeatedly taking some values again and again and putting inside the list. So it will be almost 1 million records will be there inside my list. Now it's not one record, it's going to be 1 million record, right? And one more thing, what I'm doing is that I'm checking the start time before processing it and the end time after processing it, right? And I'm finding the time difference as well. And after completing everything, this is going to provide me the total memory usage, right? Let me run this code for you. This is a normal function, right? So it took, like, before doing any work, it's a normal, like, thing, like it takes 19 MB of value, and it's still running, right? Since it's a 1 million record, right? It's still running. You may need to wait for a few seconds. Okay, now it took almost 11 seconds to complete the work, and after completing the work, it is almost 148 MB of values, right? So that is what, like, the difference that is, like, the it takes, right? Before it was 19 MB, and after processing all the records, it took almost 148 MB of space, and it took 11 seconds to complete the work. You would have seen that you are waiting for it, right? So now the same thing, let me do it with the help of a generator, right? I'm not returning here, I'm just using a yield, right? So since I'm using a yield, like, let us see how much time it takes and how much memory it is you accessing as well, right? So it just took less than a second, right? Just 0.3 seconds, and before processing the value, it was just 13 MB of values, and after processing, it is almost 16 MB of values, right? Hope you got it, guys. So this is why we go for generator always, because a generator takes a less time to process it and also takes less memory space. Unless and until I don't require it, generator is not going to throw back the entire object to me or entire values to me, right? So whenever I require, I use either a next to take the value, next that goes to the generator and fetches the value back till that it will be passed, and or else I can use a for loop to iterate through the generator and take the value one by one. So unless and until I go and ask for it, generator will never provide me the values. That is the reason why it is taking a very less space of MB, right? So it just passes it and waits for your instruction, right? So you give next, it goes and fetches the value, or you give a loop, it goes and fetches the value, right? So unless and until you give some instruction, generator will never return back the entire value to you. So this saves lot of time and memory for you. Okay, now let me give you one more example. I'm going to find the square of the range of values using generator. Now here I'm calling the generator square, and I'm passing 5, and I'm using a range to iterate through from let me say from 1 to 5, right? 1 to 4, that's what it goes and stops. and yields the value of squaring the value, right? Of 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, and 4 square, right? And when I use the next, it goes to the next value and fetches it, right? So I'll say 1 square is 1. Let me do it 4 times, right? And then when I do this, it's giving you 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, and 4 square. And some people may mistook, like I've given 5, and they may go for the 5th one as well, right? And it leads to a exception, right? So this is an exception, that is stop iteration. Now how to handle this, right? Some people will feel comfortable using next instead of using a loop. Now what should I do for that? So let me take this out, and then this is the one which is going to provide me problem. So let me put that inside a try block. I'll say try, and then put it inside a try block, and the exception what I'm getting is stop iteration. This is the exception that I'm getting. So let me put the exception to handle it, stop iteration, and then I need to stop it. So I have to repeat this, right? Because it's not one value, it's going to be more than one value. To repeat this, what should I do? I'll be putting inside a loop. I'll say while true, and then I break it when it is not required, right? So let me run this code for you. Let me run this code, and you're getting 1, 4, 9, and 16, right? So when it goes beyond, right, when it goes beyond it, the stop iteration exception will be caught and it will break it. Got it, guys? Okay, guys, if you have any doubts or queries, I'm done with this video. If you have any doubts or queries, please comment in the comment section. If you want some other videos to be taken by me, please comment there as well. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.